Wait, can you do one more? Because I just put on the recording.
One more.
One more.
One more. Say Shabbat Shalom. Good girl.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let's begin with a nigun. Also, at this point, we'll ask everyone to please mute
themselves.
And we're off. I da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yeah, die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Ay ay da 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 da. Ay da da da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And it's good to see everybody. I wasn't here last Friday night. As some of you know, I was under the weather, but my kidney stone has passed. It passed over, so to speak, with the end of Passover. So I'm feeling a lot better, and probably too much information already. Cantor Katie is on vacation this week, so of course we miss her, but we're going to continue with the service, which I will lead with some assistance. And so, and of course, I'll need your help as well. Hold on one second and we'll start. And let's begin with Lechu Niranena. Lechu Niranena l'Adonai, Nariya Litzur Yishenu, Nikad Mafanav Betoda, Bizmirot Nariya Lo. Oh, Nikad Mafanav Betoda, Bizmirot Nariya Lo. Hashem. Arbaim shanakut bedor ve'amaram to'e levavhem vehem lo yedu derachai asher nishpati v'yapi im yavon el menuchati. And now the second of the Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms. We're on page 13. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo, basru miyom liyom yeshuato, sapru bagoyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim niflotav, ki gadol Adonai. Umulal me'od narahu al kol Elohim ay dai dai ay da dai dai ya dai da dai dai ay da dai dai ya dai dai ya dai dai ay da dai dai ya dai da dai dai ay da dai dai ya da dai ya da dai dai da dai dai ya da dai ya da dai. Nine, 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 Die, 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 die. Shabbat moment on the lower left-hand side of the page. What you have made, what you have spoiled, let go. Let twilight empty the crowded rooms, quiet the jostling colors, the hues of swirling water, pearls of fog. This is the time for letting time go. Like a released balloon dwindling, tilt your neck and let your face open to the sky, like a pond catching light, drinking the darkness. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiramayamum lola, lifnei Adonai kiva, kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, yamim be'amunato. Adonai malach tagel haaretz v'buim rabim. Yilivnei Adonai kol haaretz. And we conclude this psalm. Or zaru ala tzadik, ul'yisrael simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, ul'yisrael simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, ve'hodu lezecher kadsho. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, ve'hodu lezecher kadsho. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, ki niflaot asa. Hoshir lo yamin ezra kadsho. Hadi Adonai Yeshua Tov. Lifnei Adonai kiva, kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, me'amim b'meisharim. Adonai malach kikerzu amim, yoshev kuvim tanut haaretz. Let's read on the lower left side of page 19, this blessing from the Tel Aviv community, Beit Tfilah Yisraeli. Blessed is your coming, Shabbat, blessed is your coming. Bring with you rest and peace following a tumultuous week filled with so many demands. Bring the space in which, with others and alone, we can shape an infinity of dreams. Bring the hour of forgiveness in which to hear the pounding heart of another human being. Blessed is your coming, Shabbat. Blessed is your creator. Blessed is your light. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kadsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kadsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kadsho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu. Let's try it once again. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kadsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. David, Danielle, since you are unmuted, I never want to put people on the spot, but do you have like a haiku for us to go into Lecha Dodi, or perhaps just a thought, or maybe you want to save it for later in the service?
how about a little later? Let me find something that feels appropriate.
How about for Sphira, when we count Omer? Do you want,
Sure.
or anytime, you just chime in. It's so wonderful to have you here, and I know everyone loves hearing from you.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry I didn't ask when we could have done it privately. Let's continue now on page 23, Lecha Dodi. And we'll go through the entire prayer. I'm trying to build up some momentum toward the end, some rhythm. Of course, if you want, you can open the door as we get to the final verse when we stand. Again, we'll need to be muted, but please join in. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Ishmi'anu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'titila. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nisucha sof maseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha kumitzeim mitoch hafecha rav lach shevet be'emek habacha ve'hu yachmol alayich chemla. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Kitna ari me'afar kumi livshi bigdei tifartechami al yad ben yishai beit halachmi karva el nafshi ge'ala. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri kiva orech og miori ori shira beri kivot Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikalmi mati shochati umatehemi bachi yechesu ani eyami vivnivneta yirati la lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Ayim shisa shosayich v'rachaku kol mevalayich yasis alayich Elohayich kimsos chatan akala. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yamin usmol kivrotzi v'yet Adonai ta'aritzi al yadi ish ben partzi v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Noi v'shalom, ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha, u'b'tzahla, tochemune, am segula, bo'ichala, lecha dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat mekabela. Ay 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 And David, I see your hand is up.
It is. I should have gotten this right before Lachadodi, but this is from my book, which you were kind enough to blurb for me. So this is a haiku. The quiet after a prayer is sung shimmers in the deep silence.
And I hate to disturb the silence, but I think you taught me that back when, years ago, to listen for that shimmer at the end. And you know what? Can you seriously hold up the book? Because I think people might want to see it. And Mazel Tov, Yesher Koach, and we will get the information about the book to people in a more natural way where they can actually do something about it. But anyway, when is the publication date? Or it was
out.
Oh, it's out.
It's
okay.
Out.
Then I definitely want to see it as soon as possible. And we haven't done this in a while, but this is our last scheduled Friday nights indoors. We know that there will be others that'll be exclusively on Zoom just because of weather over the next several weeks, but we're going to be endeavoring to be at least hybrid. We'll always have a Zoom connection, but it's going to be very different. You won't be able to see Jerusalem behind you, like behind me, as you do right now. So for one final time, any wows that anyone would like to share? Any wows of the week? Just open up your volume and let it all out.
Our daughter is moving to Austin, Texas, which is, I hope it sticks, but she made the decision this week.
Wow, Mazel Tov.
Yeah.
You know, Claire is a nice name down there. I think it would be popular. But what's even more popular, I'll just say, is like double names. So
we'll have to get tips from you on long distance relationships with your children.
I don't know. Yes, we will be happy to share those.
Alvin and I have a wow.
Go ahead, wait, guys. Sandy,
right.
you got in there first.
Okay,
this is like the Jeopardy button, you know, whoever
last week
pushes
we
down.
found out on a Zoom with our California kin that tomorrow we have been invited to a baby reveal. So Alvin and I will be welcoming a new member of the clan, Baruch Hashem, at the right hour in September.
Wow, Mazel Tov. Yeah, I mean, B'Sha'at Tova.
Thank you.
That's great.
Sha'at
That's wonderful.
Tova.
So do they do like a, you know, a pronoun reveal at the same time, or is it?
I have absolutely no idea what they're doing. I just know this is my nephew and his wife, and my niece will be the revealer tomorrow, New York time 2, California time at 11. And
They do something like having the cake and the frosting is pink or blue, or the cake inside is pink or blue.
I don't know. I'll have to report.
We'll find out.
This is the
Next
best
week.
of Zoom and the worst of Zoom. You know, we're like looking at Eileen knitting and then we swing back. But
I'd like to share something.
go ahead, Dana.
So my wow is that the twins are 13 today, and Peter and I are officially parents to teenagers. And that's a little bit crazy.
Whoa.
Okay, if they're in the car with you, can they like wave their hands or?
Yeah, let's see. There's Brookie and Jordan is hiding.
Oh my God.
Happy birthday.
I know, that's a big shock.
No, is that like the position he likes to travel in? Well,
Yeah,
while
he
Peter is
stays like
driving?
that for hours.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Mazel tov and happy birthday. We'll all sing it to them, but at the end. But maybe a show of hands for everyone here who recommends having twin teenagers.
Nobody.
Okay, yeah, it was
have a-
unanimous. Ronnie,
I have something to share,
go ahead.
that we are going to be parents to a new grand dog. Jeremy's picking up a new dog tomorrow. So it's called a Doodle. I'm not exactly sure, but it's very cute. I've seen pictures of it and the kids are thrilled and they haven't decided on a name. It's something between Latka, because they wanted it from Hanukkah on, or, well, they haven't decided on a name, so I'm not going to spill the beans.
I think, Ronnie, it's a Bernedoodle.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
no,
that's
you know,
maybe what it is.
Jody's friend has one. They are absolutely delicious. Mazel tov.
You know, they're combining poodles with there's like an iguana doodle at this point. I mean, you just, everything is poodle, and justifiably. In fact, my poodle Casey made his, well, I think his first appointment and appearance at Minion this afternoon. So that was a big wow.
Did he enjoy it?
He said amen, so I guess he did.
Rabbi,
Yes, Judy. What is our final wow of the week without you? We have to have you here.
So I think the wow of the week is that you are strong and well. I didn't know you had a kidney stone. I thought I told you to put that on your never to-do list.
Yeah. Well, it
I'm
wasn't
really-
as bad as the last one, so
I'm so grateful you're well and strong.
thank you. Thank you. Never to do again. I don't recommend it.
Yes, we
All right. Anyone else?
Just one last one, Rabbi.
Please, go ahead.
So happy to hear you're well as well. And just along the theme of springtime and hope, the visit.
Wait, hold on, Evan. I want to highlight you. Wait, spotlight you. Okay. Oh, wait, I still have Judy on the spotlight. Got it. All right, go. There you go. Oh,
just
is that Amherst? Wow.
Southampton.
Oh, Southampton. I'm sorry. Yeah,
two towns over. Just
right.
Along the theme of hope and spring, the visit from Senator Blumenthal and your exchanges were so wonderful on Tuesday night, and with so much conflict and so much hatred out there, to bring such authenticity and honesty, I am, was wonderful. So thank you, and that was certainly a wonderful. Hi.
Hey there.
So thank you, Rabbi, and thank everybody. Shabbat shalom, all.
Shabbat shalom. Wait, Sophie, I want you to say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
To Brooke and Jordan.
To Brooke and Jordan. Could you say Brooke and Jordan, happy birthday?
Happy birthday, Brooke and Jordan.
All right.
Something we can only do on a Zoom, at a Zoom service. All right. So
thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Let's continue now with our service. And I think that's exactly the spirit we want and need, and during these challenging times. This is the Psalm of Gratitude, and we all do feel so grateful. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lodod Ladonai, Tov Lodod Ladonai, Ulezamer Leshimcha Elyon, Tov Lodod Ladonai. Od yenuvon beseva, Deshenim verananim yeyu lehagid ki ashar Adonai tzuri velo havlatabo. And we continue now as we rise in body or spirit for the call to prayer. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. El chai v'kayam tamdim lo chaleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Hama'ari Varavim. And we continue on page 39b with page 40 with Ahavat Olam. And I'm looking for a volunteer to lead in the Shema who is of the younger generation. If one wants to, they can just unmute when we get to it and lead. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shachveinu u'bekumeinu Nasiyach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu u'vahem negeh yomam v'layla Ve'avatchal tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael. And would anyone like to lead the Shema? Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shachbecha v'kumecha u'kshartam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha v'im shemo atishmeu el mitzvotai. And the Shema continues on the next page. I was muted there for a moment. I'm not sure if that was accidental, but anyway, I hope it was just a moment. Adonai Elohechem Emet. And now we cross the Red Sea once again. Mi chamocha. Malchuto b'ratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe v'nei Israel Miriam v'nei Israel lachanu shira v'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam Mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot seifele, nora tehilot seifele, malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokeyam lifnei Moshe v'Miriam, ze Elianu v'yameru, Adonai imloch li'olam va'ed. V'ne'amar kifat Adonai et Yaakov lo'med chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai go'al Yisrael. Let's read in the English Hashkivenu. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore with us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and our coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ushmor tzeitin v'enu l'chaim l'shalom yata v'yad olam, ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. On the top of the next page, page 46, V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti li'olam. Oti li'olam. Oti li'olam, oti li'olam, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai.
Asa Adonai.
Et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashmi Shabbat vayinafash. Shabbat vayinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. It only took us a year, but we got it right. And now those who would rise, and we'll do the silent Amida this time. We haven't done that often on Friday nights, but we have a little time, so we'll do that this evening following the half Kaddish, and feel free to place into the chat any names for healing. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayichon v'mechon v'chayidachol beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman karim v'yimeru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach, li'olam olam v'yalmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yirmam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu li'ela min kol bechata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'yalma v'yimeru. Amen. And now a few moments of silent prayer. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha V'tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. B'tov v'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. Tasim leolam. So before I'm going to have a few words, of course, my Devar Torah, but just a reminder, next week we are planning to start our outdoor services, and you've received notices. You'll get more information on how to sign up, and of course we'll always be available on live stream or Zoom. But one thing that'll be very important is to have a prayer book. So just look for opportunities, and I'm sure we'll be sending stuff out as to when you can pick up a Siddur, because we're not going to be able to share the pages as we do on Zoom, either on Friday night or Shabbat morning. For the most part, occasionally we will, but it's not going to be as regular as it has been. So you need a prayer book at home, or you can use the PDF. And we've sent it to you. We send it to you all the time. We'll send it to you again for the services and for the Torah reading as well. So I just wanted to get that announcement out there. And this evening, I want to talk a little about bystanders. This has been the week of the bystander. Many of us have been, just transfixed by the testimony of the trial for the murder of George Floyd. And it's been marked by emotion. But this term, this concept of bystander has come up again and again as witness after witness has broken down on the stand. That's been a running theme that so many of the witnesses have said, verbalized how they wish they could have done more, but they felt like bystanders. There was Darnella Frazier, the teenage bystander, the one who filmed the viral video of the arrest, testified to seeing him in pain and described, as we saw and we've seen on the video so many times, the knee on the neck and the horrific sight. During her cross-examination, she said that video changed her life forever, that she's had anxiety and is often bottling things up inside, but seeing Floyd outside Cup Foods made her be loud, as she put it, be loud in response to what was unfolding. She's 18 years old, and she was forced out of the role of bystander to an active participant in a real sense. But she didn't feel that way. She talked about how when she saw George Floyd, she looked at her dad. I mean, she imagined her father, her brothers, her cousins, her uncles, and how they could have been there in his place. She felt so helpless. Another teen witness, Alyssa Nicole Fornari, 18 years old, talked about just seeing him struggling, breathing. And then she took a moment, prompting the prosecutor to ask her whether it was difficult for her to recount the incident. And she said, "It was difficult because I felt there really wasn't anything I could do as a bystander." The highest power was there, and I felt like I was failing, like God's eyes were looking on her, she was saying, like failing to do anything. Technically, I could have done something, but I couldn't do physically what I wanted to do, Funari said, because police were ordering bystanders to stay back. Again and again, throughout this testimony, we hear the voice of bystanders, like those teens, or that off-duty firefighter who wanted to give CPR, who wasn't allowed to. And they all feel so guilt-ridden, but they're now all stepping up to take responsibility for their actions or their inaction. But was it inaction? That's the crucial question to ask tonight, because these bystanders have hardly stood idly by. I said this has been the week of the bystander because on the other side, there have been many bystanders who have stood idly by recently. Bystanders to hate crimes, particularly against people of Asian descent. New York Times reported today in documenting dozens and dozens of cases over the past few months that, quote, violence has known no boundaries, spanning generations, income brackets, and regions. And some of the most notorious incidents have been in broad daylight, in front of bystanders who have simply stood by. The famous incident in the New York city streets in Midtown, in the apartment building, where workers were fired for failing to help a 65-year-old woman as she was being violently attacked on the sidewalk outside. Not only did they not intervene, but they closed the door on the woman to their buildings, as if out of sight would be out of mind. And then there was another incident in Orange County, California, where an Olympic hopeful was in a park training for the Summer Games, a person of Asian descent. A man targeted her in an incident that she captured on video. I was shocked. I didn't know what to do, Sakura Kokumai, Team USA karate Olympian, told ABC in an interview. This guy got close to me and continued to yell at me for no reason, harassing her for 20 minutes, and no one did anything to help. It's happening everywhere. It's an epidemic of hate directed against fellow Americans, but it's also an epidemic of fear and perhaps apathy. I'm not sure how much of it is fear and how much of it is apathy from those witnessing the hate, people who could have done something about it. Now, research shows that, in fact, most people are more than willing to intervene to help someone. And I think we've seen it intuitively in our own lives. We know, we've heard the stories, and there's a whole branch of psychology, in fact, that's grown from this question based on the famous 1964 stabbing of Kitty Genovese in Queens. That was supposedly witnessed by 38 people who did nothing to stop it. Turns out the numbers have been inflated, and in fact, New Yorkers do not deserve the reputation for apathy that has been given so many. But these recent events are still unsettling, and they force us to ask ourselves, if we were outside of that Manhattan apartment building or across the street from Cup Foods in Minneapolis, what would we have done? I think that's the question that every American should be asking this week. And if not, then ask it now. You know, now we have the added capability of cameras on our hands, which they didn't have back in 1964. So in a sense, we can all do something. And has that changed the equation of standing idly by at all? We know that the Talmud says, Kol Yisrael arevim ze baze, all Israel is responsible for one another. That's just about the people of Israel. But the Torah also commands us not to stand idly by the blood of our neighbor. And the Talmud amplifies on that, says, from where do we know, but for that verse, that if we see a person drowning, or we see a neighbor being mauled by beasts or attacked by robbers, we are bound to save that person. The Talmud is very specific that we are bound to save that person. Our sources stand on the side of intervention. When young Moses goes out and sees his fellow Israelite being beaten, and you might have seen the movie, The 10 Commandments, again last week for the umpteenth time, and they actually drag out that whole scene pretty well, but it's not in the Torah completely. It's Midrash too. But the Torah, in the text, Moses is about to strike the taskmaster, and it's a fascinating verse. It says, "Vayifen ko v'cho, vayar ki ein ish." Moses looks this way and that and sees that there is no person. Now, were there actually no people around? You know, the easy way to interpret it would say he saw no one's there, so he could kill and feel he could get away with it. But perhaps it's a slightly different interpretation. Perhaps he understood that the mark of enslavement is precisely that the people were there, but it was as if no one was there. They've been cowed into complacency. They were mere bystanders, indifferent to the plight of their fellow and unlikely to get involved. As soon as Moses sees that no one's likely to get involved, he realizes it's up to him to step in and intervene, and thus he becomes one of the upstanders of history. And in this week's portion, in Shmini, something related occurs involving an older Moses. Now they've come out of Egypt, they're in the wilderness, they're doing the sacrifices, and Aaron, the high priest, raises his hands toward the people and blesses them, and then he descends from the altar, having performed the offerings. That's the quote in the portion. But then, in the very next verse, Moses suddenly enters the scene from the wings of the stage where he's been a bystander. And it states, Moses and Aaron came to the tent of meeting, and they went out and blessed the people, and the glory of God appeared to the entire people. But hadn't Aaron already blessed the people? Wasn't Moses sort of being a busybody? Wasn't he like being redundant? According to Rashi, yes, Aaron had blessed the people, but God's glory hadn't appeared. It was a misfire. And Aaron was afraid that he wasn't in God's good graces. So he appealed to Moses. He pulled Moses onto the stage. Moses was a bystander, but Moses immediately took action and joined his brother, and God then blessed the people. Some of the commentators, including the Baal Shem Tov, take from this the lesson that one who sees a flaw or witnesses a misdeed on the part of another must appreciate that God has arranged for that person to be present, witnessing it for a reason. We are bystanders for a reason. And a lot of the people at the George Floyd trial were saying just that. The Chauvin trial, I should say, were saying just that they feel that somehow they were placed on that spot for a reason. And part of that reason is not to stand in judgment, but to recognize that the fault also exists in ourselves. And that from a perspective of humility, we should see our obligation to take actions to address the matter. Moses doesn't stand in judgment of Aaron in our portion. He simply runs to assist. And in the end, there are no bystanders. Whether we're at the center of the action or off on the wings, we are all still on the stage, and it just may not be our time to move to the center. Those people in Minneapolis, those witnesses, this week took center stage, and they were on the stage of history. They didn't know that they were never bystanders at all, and that their star turn would just be delayed a few months. Not standing idly by the blood of your neighbor can be extended in all directions, to marching against gun violence, to delivering contraband water bottles and pizza to voting lines in Georgia, something I'm game to do next year, to collecting for food banks up here, to signing petitions to help refugees, to donating blood. And we at Bethel have had several blood drives over the course of the pandemic. But at its very core, not standing idly by is about not being a bystander. You don't need to be a bystander to stand by. I didn't say stand back and stand by. I just said stand by. In my mind, those heroic witnesses in Minnesota may have been bystanders, but they did not stand idly by. As Elie Wiesel said, don't stand idly by if you witness injustice. You must intervene. You must interfere. Shabbat Shalom. And Judy Aronin is going to lead the Kiddush. Judy, you ready? Make sure to unmute. And you know what? I'll hold up.
Okay,
I got the wine right here. So we'll do a double.
excellent. So thank you so much, Rabbi, for this special honor. I'm going to chant this evening's Kiddush in honor of a life so well lived. This coming week marks the Yortzeit for our Merle Pearl, and so I chant in celebration of his life so well lived. Shabbat Shalom to one and all. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uv'ratzon hinechilanu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha yahava uv'ratzon hinechaltanu baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat.
Amen. So Judy, I'm going to hand this to you.
Okay.
We didn't prepare that in advance. But do you see, there you go. You see my background, Judy? Do you know where and when I took this picture?
I bet it is when we were together in Israel and we went to the Mount of Olives Cemetery because we wanted to find Merle Pearl's grandfather who is buried there. And thanks to you and the amazing guide at the Temple of Olives Cemetery, we found him.
That's exactly where I took this picture from.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
It was, and it's the best view of Jerusalem that you can have. So anyway, Yashar Koach, and stand by, because I'd love to have you lead Aleinu, but we're going to count the Omer first. Okay, so let's see if I can do this. Okay, so the Omer, of course, this is the season of the Omer, and we're concluding the second week of it. So first we'll do the blessing. We've just concluded the 12th day, so I'll let you guess what this day is about. We're about to count. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. For those who aren't as familiar, the Omer is the 7-week counting between Pesach and Shavuot. And Hayom 13 yom shehem Shavua Echad v'shisha yamim la'omer. Today is 13 days, 1 week, and 6 days of the Omer, and we're concluding the week of the two qualities of the divine emanations of Din, of justice, and Gvura, of strength, judgment, and power, as they're defined here, intersecting. And we focus on those qualities within ourselves as we go through the Omer. Okay, so let's continue with Aleinu as we rise. Judy?
Aleinu v'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula liyotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, Umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
And we recall in loving memory this coming week the yard sites of Rose Abrams, Jean Annis, Merle Aronin, Sadie Baum, Doris Brown, Ray Dorothy Chiswick, Sid Cohen, David Dayan, Harold Fink, Sylvia Finn, Seymour Freilich, Lester Halpern, Saul Hershkowitz, Hyacinth Hoffman, Bruce Horowitz, David Horvitz, Robert Kirschenbaum, Louis Konigsbacher, Daniel Linko, Harry Lubov, Jacob Mallon, David May, Paul Plansky, Jacob Regelson, Bess Rosen, Ethel Rosenthal, Irving Rothstein, Carl Schechter, Alan Marla Schottenfeld, Galia Sayas, Morris Hyman Snofsky, Annie Steinberger, Jacqueline Strom, Isaac Strum, Sadie Tepper, Mel Trencher, Rudolph Walzer, and Amiram Zussman. Those who mourn and those who recall yard sites now join. You can unmute if you'd like for the mourners Kaddish. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Me Rabbah, Yalma Divrach Irutei, Yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon u'b'yamechon u'b'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agala u'b'zman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach v'yalam olamei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei d'kodshav richu v'yela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'yalma v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'romav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshbei tevel v'yimru Amen. V'yimru Amen. V'yimru Amen.
Amen.
And Irma, you are our greeter tonight.
I am. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
So announcements. Everybody will be getting an email on Sunday about registering for and more details for outdoor services next week, weather permitting. I encourage you to check out TBE clubs. There are a number of active clubs going on. There's a blood drive this Tuesday. Hazmaut concert on Thursday at 5:30, but you need to register for that, so see the announcements. Daily Minyan, Shabbat services tomorrow morning, and there are a couple of other things going on the following weeks, and then Cantor's concert on May 2nd. And hopefully everybody got their invitation in the mail. And that's it. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. And if anyone else would like to chime in with any announcements? Okay, I can't see hands, by the way, if they're up, so just open up. All right. Anyway, it is wonderful to see everybody. It sort of feels a little nostalgic. We've been through this for a year, and we're not saying goodbye to Zoom at all. We are, and especially Daily Minyan is going to continue to take place on Zoom, and Friday nights probably we'll get to see one another pretty often, and you'll get to see me. It's just that I won't get to see you as much. So some of you anyway. So anyway, it's been a real pleasure, and there's something very historic and noteworthy and unforgettable about these experiences, these very intimate experiences we've had through cyberspace. So unforgettable, in fact, that almost every service has been recorded, and you can watch them from beginning to end if you would like. If you have like a week where you have nothing else to do, I actually don't recommend that. We move forward, and but we will remember, and certainly remember the good things that people have done for one another in helping us through these very difficult times that are not, unfortunately, totally done. For those who've been vaccinated, and especially those the last week or two who have been, it seems like it's just growing exponentially. We all feel that sense of new hope, and I feel that we all feel it on your behalf. So let's conclude with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru Amen. Hey, I die, 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 die. Yada, die, 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 die. Yada, die, 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 die. Yada, die, 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 die. Yada, die, 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 die. Yada, die, 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 die. And if I see anyone dancing, I'll spotlight you. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Shabbat
Sid
Shalom,
Rabbi.
everyone. Thank you.
Okay.
Do well.
All right, Sophia, I see you now.
They got this on our couch.
Want to wave to everyone again? Go ahead. One more big wave.
And Shabbat Shalom.
There you go.
Shabbat Shalom to you.
Okay. Wow.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. So
Shabbat
yeah, this is a
shalom.
big transition.
Yeah, you know, it definitely is.
I mean, it'll be nice to be in person, but this has been a special kind of intimacy, I think, you know, just being able to have the back and forth.
Yeah. Now, I've been reading a lot of conversation among rabbis in our chat groups, and they are, you know, all of mixed feelings, and they're halachic issues, but they're also just human issues. Even some safety issues still. But you know, the question of who counts in a minyan? Well, if you have 9 people in the chapel and 1 person online, or you have 5 and 5 or 1 and 9, you know, and we've been counting the 9 who haven't been in the chapel all along. So it's, you know, these are questions that are going to come back again.
It's quite a transition time we're in. But
Yes.